Welcome to today's class. Today we shall discuss chapter number 9 of the distant window. So towards the end of chapter 8, husband was discussing, Nando was discussing what the problems with Parvati was. Why Parvati behaved like that? Why did she behave in a flirtatious way? Why she was flirting others? The other problem with that, she was childless, she said. So by nature, she was flirtatious. And the second problem with her was that she was childless. Now, as long as she didn't have a child, she will keep floating in the air like a balloon. That's what he says. So he prays God. God, please give her a child. They have been married for some time now. Still, she doesn't have a child. So husband prays God. Oh God, please give her a child. So that once a child is born, she will be busy with the child. And that will bring an end to her nature, her general common nature, the way she normally behaves. So let us go to chapter 9. So that evening, Parvati sat on a rope cot in front of the house, sewing some press buttons to her blouse. Nando left the rope cot outside because he slept outside his house throughout the summer days. He was habituated to sleeping outside his house. Inside his house, he felt stifled, choked. The heat made him feel choked. The heat inside the house stifled him. Parvati liked this arrangement very well. I mean, when her husband slept outside, she was there all alone. She slept alone inside the room during the daytime, and during the afternoons, during the evenings, because that cot was lying outside, she could sit outside on that rope cot and watch the goings on, what was happening all around her. So that way she was very happy. She would finish her household chores, whatever work she had to do, dress up very neatly, and sit on the cot with some embroidery work, or she would see something, some sewing work. She could watch the picture of throbbing life and moving world. Outside, people would be moving, vehicles would be moving, small children would be playing. She watched all this during the evening hours. It fascinated her when she sat all by herself. All by herself means all alone. So when she sat all alone, she enjoyed. She enjoyed a lot. Her husband often returned late. Most of the time he worked overtime, so he would come back home late. If by chance he returned early, he would plunk himself down on that rope cot and he would enjoy a smoke. And then he would start ordering things. Parvati, do this for me, do that for me. So Parvati would be entirely engaged. Huh? Parvati would be deprived of the joy of remaining engrossed in her world while viewing the moving world outside or the wide expanse of the sky. So, if her husband came back early from office, he would he would be lying on the cot and he would start ordering things. Then Parvati would not get an opportunity to sit on the cot and enjoy some private moments, some personal moments. So she was that kind of a lady. She wanted to enjoy her private moments. Right? Nandu believed that there was very little difference between a wife and a maid servant. So this is a patriarchal mindset. What is a patriarchal mindset? Patriarchal, Patriarchal, patriarchal. So patriarchal mindset means the male member is the most important person in the house, and every other person living in the house must carry out whatever he says. This is called patriarchal mindset. So when he came back from office, he wanted that whatever he wanted, whatever he wished for, must be carried out immediately, must be done immediately. Nandu believed that there was a very little difference between a wife and a maid servant, one who worked for uh, the family. She would keep on passing orders to Parvati about tea with Parvati, go and bring tea with ginger and put some black pepper into it. Bring some onion, batter the onion, fry it a little bit. So he just wanted that his, you know, whatever he liked must be done, or whatever he ordered for must be carried out by others, especially Parvati, because only these two people were there in that house. At times he wanted his back to be scratched or his feet to be attended to. And in all these he needed the help of Parvati. The very presence of Nando was coarseness itself. What is coarseness? There was nothing smooth about his body. He was an old man, aged, not old exactly, he was aged. And therefore, skin had become rough and he was not properly dressed. In one of the chapters, we discussed that Parvati was making fun of her dress. Do you think I'll be dressed like you? Huh? Most of the time you are found in the same dress. But I can't be appearing like you. I'll be wearing because I'm made for all those things. Parvati thought she was made for the beauties of life, the elegance of life. Huh? So Parvati's world was limited to the sky, to the earth, to Nando and to herself because there was no child. Her father, for whose sake she had married an old man, an aged man, did not bother to keep relationship with her. Father stayed away from them. So after the marriage, it was only for the sake of the father's loan, the loan that he had taken from Nando. Parvati agreed to marry that old man, Nando. So, her father, for whose sake she had married an old man, did not bother to keep relationship with her. So, father, her parents lived away. They had no relationship with him. There were not any neighbors. No neighbors were living nearby. On one side of where she lived, there was a slum where poor people lived. On the other, there was a big field. So there was nobody in the vicinity with whom she could go and talk. Right? She had no children also. So her family or her entire world was limited to her husband, the open sky, and the open earth around her. Now, this is something that you can write, something that I am going to discuss with you now. Parvati felt very sad when she was alone. Right? Parvati felt very sad when she was all by herself. When she was all alone in the afternoons, a strong feeling of self-pity would overtake her on these occasions. In front of others, she would be talkative. She would talk a lot. She would be flirtatious and she would be sharp in tongue. She had a sharp tongue. She didn't easily accept defeat. If somebody said something, she would answer back. This was a habit with Parvati. So when others were there, she was talkative, she was flirtatious, she used to talk a lot. But when she was all alone, she felt very sad. Then on those occasions when people were there all around her, laughter seemed more natural to her. She used to laugh a lot. It came naturally to her. Jokes, repartees. What are repartees? Repartees are small sentences which are very, very intelligent sentences, which display your knowledge. Small repartees. Sarcasm, they were her style. So you can write this. This is one of her characteristics. When alone, she would become sad and morose and look like a lovelorn woman weighed down by memories. So when she was left alone, she became very sad. A kind of sadness overshadowed her. Okay? What kind of a, when she was a child, what kind of a person she was? What kind of a child she was? During childhood, she was a tomboy. Who is a tomboy? A girl who behaves like a boy. We call him a tomboy. Andri Chandi. ପିଲାମାନେ ସବୁ କହନ୍ତି ଗାଁ ମାନଙ୍କରେ ସବୁ କହନ୍ତି ତୁ ସେଟା ଗୋଟେ ଅଣ୍ଡ୍ରି ଚଣ୍ଡୀଟା ତାମାନେ କଣ ଅଣ୍ଡ୍ରି ଚଣ୍ଡୀ ମାନେ she would be behaving like a boy. When she was asked to wash the dishes, she would climb trees, catch fish in the pond, play ball with the boys of the street, boys of his of her locality. Now, naturally, mother would be very angry with her. If mother scolded her, she would not remain silent. She was not the type of girl who remained silent and listened to everything. She would immediately answer back. I don't ask for food supplied by your father. I am not asking for food which is supplied by your father. I ask for food supplied through my father's earnings. So my father is giving me food. Why are you worried? Who would talk to the mother this way? So she answered back. Whenever mother abused her, scolded her, she would answer back. Huh? Parvati's father was supportive and compassionate. So when she was asked to wash the dishes or sweep the courtyard or wash the clothes or attend to the cow, her father would intervene. She was very kind and compassionate, like all fathers. Fathers are compassionate with the girls, with the daughters. Her father would intervene. He would interfere and he would say, why do you make this little child work so hard? She has been working so hard. Why do you do it? So naturally, she was fonder of the father. She liked her father too much. It was because of this affection for father and sympathy that father displayed at different times that she agreed to marry Nandu, even though Nandu was an aged person. And she knew very well that Nandu was also a drunkard who drank a lot of wine. But she decided to, it was because of her feelings for her father that she decided to marry him. Acha, what did people say about her? People would find her sitting outside her house, especially in the evenings. She was naturally very attractive, very beautiful. So some people thought she was very attractive. She was like a pearl before that swine-like husband of hers. She was a pearl. Very valuable thing. Pearl is very expensive. Mukta. She was like a pearl. Very expensive, beautiful, gorgeous to look at. And how was her husband? Her husband was like a swine, a pig. She was like a pearl. Her husband was like a pig or swine. That's what people thought about her. Some others were patriarchal in their thoughts. Patriarchal, I have already told you. What is patriarchal? Patriarchal means with the mindset of a male, a dominating male. Huh? They would say, and doesn't she have any housework to do? Why is she sitting outside? Every evening she comes out and sits outside. Why does she do that? Doesn't she have anything to do? Beside cooking, washing utensils, washing clothes, storing water, sweeping, a woman has so many things to do. She can clean up the wheat, prepare cow dung cakes. In villages, you must have seen people, women prepare cow dung cakes. She can chop wood, cut wood into small pieces. She can collect fodder for the cow. She can take care of plants, tend the plants. So much work a woman has to do. back at home. But why is she sitting silently outside? Every evening we find her sitting outside on the cot, enjoying. Why is she enjoying? Why she is not engaged in some work or the other? How can she sit there doing nothing like a picture? How is she sitting there like a picture, doing nothing? Just as a picture does nothing, its only job is to hang on the wall. It does nothing. So why is she sitting there like a picture? But there were sympathetic people. These were critics. These people were her critics. There were some other people who were sympathetic to her. They would say, poor woman, she has no children. A childless woman is always without anything to do. If there is a child at home, you are always busy taking care of the child. So now that she doesn't have a child, she has plenty of spare time. So all evils come from this. Now that she has a lot of free time, she is engaged in flirts, talks, and all those things. What can she do all by herself? Now that evening, Nandu returns home a little early, and the Sahab was going by that way. There was a road very close to her house. There was a well also. In the first chapter, we had read that she was collecting water from that well when the Sahab's car passed by. So the Sahab was passing by her house. Now, Nando is suspicious. In chapter 6 and 7, we read that Nando is quite suspicious. He thought the Sahab must have some secret relationship with his wife. He finds, or he thinks so, his wife is engaged in a romantic conversation with Mr. Mukherjee. Right? So, there must be something, some kind of a clandestine, secret relationship between her and the Sahab. That evening when she sat outside, Mr. Mukherjee's car suddenly comes to a halt in front of her house. So Mr. Mukherjee happens to pass by her house and he stops there. Are, you live here? He asks. He is surprised to find her there. Huh? So that afternoon, she was there at the Dak Bungalow. So he had met Parvati. So when he finds Parvati sitting in front of her house, he asks, Are, you live here? Parvati became bright and smiling. It's quite natural thing. You see somebody, so you smile. She said that yes sir, I live here. The narrator remarks, she always put on a smiling front to cover her inner self as soon as she was in company. So when she met somebody, she had so many sorrows. She didn't have a child. She was not happy with the marriage exceeding, even though she wanted to, I know, it was only to see that, ensure that her father didn't have to pay back the loan, the money that he had taken on loan from Nandu. She married her. But a young lady marrying an aged husband. Every young lady wants to marry a handsome husband, a young husband. Nobody wants to marry an aged one. But willingly, she had agreed to the marriage. But you can see there was some compulsion. Even though she had agreed to the marriage, there was obviously some compulsion. Compulsion was money. The money that her father had taken on loan from Nandu. So, and besides, a few years had passed. They didn't have a child. So, this was another reason why she must be unhappy. So, the narrator says, she always put on a smiling front to cover her inner self as soon as she was in company. So, when she was alone, she felt very sad, morose, sorrowful. But when she was in company, When there was another person or a few other persons, she smiled. And smile is a way to cover your sorrows, your suffering, your pain. You just don't go on telling the entire world that you are unhappy. Even if you are unhappy, even if you are sorrowful, even if you are sad, you don't go and tell the entire world, I am unhappy, I am sorrowful, I don't have a child, I have a very old husband, other people are very smart, my husband is not smart, other people are handsome, my husband is not handsome. You just don't go, oh, other people are very rich, I am very poor, my husband is very poor. You don't go on telling the entire world like things like this. So, smile was something, see, the smile that she gave was something that hid her inner suffering, right? Mr. Mukherjee informed her that he had not eaten the meat curry that afternoon. Parvati, you know, I have done something today. You warned me not to, you advised me not to eat that meat curry. You said it was rat's meat and I would not be able to digest it. It was poisonous for me. I have not eaten that. Parvati retorts that hence he should take all her advice seriously. Sir, it is quite obvious. Now that you have not eaten the curry, you are alive. Right? You are alive only because you have not eaten that curry. Otherwise, you would be there in the hospital. You would not be riding a car. You would not be driving a car. And she says, Sir, you must listen to my advice. What advice are you talking about? When he asked what kind of advice was there in her mind, she said, Sir, don't eat everything that is served to you. Take care of yourself. And please bring your memsav here. Please bring your wife here. So these are certain pieces of advice I would like to give you. So whatever Dasarath brings from outside, don't go on eating that. So first check whether it is healthy or not. And second thing, please take care of yourself. Huh? So her husband had told her that while the demarcation goes on, people might try to attack him and kill him. So she says, please take care of yourself. And please bring your wife here. To the Sahab she looked, and how did the Sahab find him? You can write these things. She looked fetching, really attractive, as if she belonged to a cultured background. She must belong to a well-educated family, a decent family. Right? Even though she was poor, she was cultured. She was beautiful. She was attractive. She was enticing. Somebody who attracts your attention. The way she conducted herself, that was attractive. Since she appeared to have come from a well-to-do background, she was a poor lady, but she appeared as if she had come from a well-to-do. Well-to-do means rich family. So because she appeared to have come from a decent family, well-to-do family, the Sahab didn't have any problem discussing things. Usually the Sahab would not discuss things with a maid servant. Right? So Sahab would talk to somebody who is equal in rank. So even though Parvati belonged to a poor family, her husband was poor, her parents were poor, yet the Sahab thought she was cultured, she was decent, she was nice, she was alluring, she was captivating, she was attractive, and therefore there was no harm in talking to her or discussing things with her. The narrator remarks that Parvati had a strange sense of human dignity. And this sense of dignity, honor, self-respect, what makes you feel that she had self-respect? The Sahab had given her, offered her 2 rupees after she had made a cup of tea for him. But she said, Sahab, no, I am sorry. If you want to give me some money, give only 25 paise, 4 annas. 4 annas, 25 paise. I don't deserve more. I don't take so much money. So she has self-respect. It, what does it show? That she is not doing anything for money. She is really concerned about other human beings. She is really concerned about the side. It's not money that is, which is her sole motive. Her sole motive, only motive is not to earn money. She is really concerned about the sahib. The sahib thinks about her like this, like this. In the dusk, when the daylight had almost faded, this was early evening, sun had disappeared, sun had set, there was still a little light. In that dusk, there stood in front of him a woman who was young and beautiful. A woman who was known to be from the lower class, but she did not look like one. She did not look like a person who had come from a lower class, a poor background. She looked dignified by any stretch of imagination. So she looked decent, she was beautiful, she was captivating, she was attractive, she was dignified, she had self-respect. So overall, an honorable woman, a woman whom you would make friends, no problem. There is absolutely no problem in making friends with this woman, right? Parvati suddenly marks Nando's shadow. So Nandu had come back. He was there. He was suspicious. So when he finds Sahab standing in front of his house and talking to his wife, this is something that usually doesn't happen. A Sahab doesn't come to a maid servant's house or an attendant's house and talks to his wife. You must not have heard something of this sort. So Nandu has a suspicious mind. So Nandu thinks perhaps they are having some relationship, clandestine relationship, secret relationship. It must be a romantic relationship, right? He doubts her character. He says it must be a secret relationship that my wife is having with the Sahab. So Parvati suddenly marks Nandu hiding Nandu's shadow. Nandu was hiding behind a tree and overhearing their conversation, what they were discussing. So when, Parvati is a kind of lady who makes fun of her husband, who is sarcastic, right? So Parvati marks it from a distance that my husband is hiding there behind that tree, overhearing our conversation, listening to our conversation, what we are discussing with each other. Her thoughtless actions had always landed her in some sort of disaster. So this is another characteristic of Parvati. She was thoughtless. She never, usually when we say something, we evaluate it. We weigh it. Should I say this? Should I not say this? Is it good for me? Whether it is not good for me. So we evaluate and then say something. But Parvati was rash. If she wanted to say something, she would say it without evaluating the pros and cons of it, without evaluating the matter. So she was thoughtless in her actions. Her thoughtless actions had always landed her in some sort of disaster. A spirit of recklessness, carelessness seemed to pursue her thoughtless behavior. So there was a recklessness about her, thoughtlessness about her, rashness about her. What is thoughtlessness, recklessness, or rashness? Without evaluating, you indulge in some action. You do something or say something. That is thoughtless. So aware that her husband was watching them from behind the tree, she all of a sudden decides, okay, this is an opportunity for me to make my husband angry. He is suspicious, I will make him more angry. And what does she do? She tells the Sahab loudly, had it not been you, Sahab, Anyone else would have easily said, if you can, come to the dak bungalow tonight. Sahab, you are a very nice person. Had somebody else been there in your place, he would have told me, hey, come to the dak bungalow. Your husband is not there. We will spend some time together. So Sahab is not that sort of a person. So Sahab becomes very angry. The Sahab is confused. Right? Now that I have discussed a few things, I have talked to this woman for some time. It is as if she is giving me, she is inciting me. She is giving me indications that Sahab, okay, let us spend some time together, alone, in the dak bungalow. So Sahab says, surprising. And how come you are behaving like this? She even goes to the extent of advising the Sahab, please bring over Mem Sahab. If you don't do so, there are many people here who would be after you in order to supply you with cheap omen. Sahab, there are many people here. If you don't bring your wife here, they will supply you, they would offer you cheap omen you can sleep with. So they will go. And one of those persons is my husband, my dear husband. Right? The leader of the gang is Nandu Raut. She says. Nandu Raut is the leader of her husband, is the leader of the gang. When the Sahab wonders where he had heard that name, Sahab, Sahab had heard that name, Nandu Raut, yes, I had heard this name. Where exactly? He has forgotten. Right? If somebody is important to you, you remember his name. Suppose somebody is not very important to you, why would you remember that name? So Sahab kept on thinking a little. Where did I hear this name? Yes, Nandu Raut. I have heard that name. Who is this Nandu Raut? And when Sahab is wondering, Parvati says, yes, yes, remember that name. Remember this name, Sahab Nandu Raut. Don't forget this one. You will see him in the office tomorrow. You will meet him in the office. He will clean your shoes unasked. Even if you do not ask him, he will clean your shoes. He will lick your shoes. Licking with the tongue. He will lick your shoes. That sort of a person he is. That is what he means by self-respect. That is the dignity that he possesses. So he will lick your boots tomorrow. Even if you don't ask him to do it, he would come forward to help you, unasked. Even if you don't ask him to help you, he will offer his help. Sir, I am there. Okay, to help you. You don't need any help, but he will ask you, or he will offer his help to you. He will help you unasked. Now, why does she say this? To make her husband angry. She finds her husband there. He is suspicious. I will see that he burns with suspicion. Right? So after some time, after having a conversation with Parvati, the Sahab leaves the place. This is where the chapter ends. This gives us more information about Parvati's character, Sahab's character, and this also throws a light on Nandu's character. Okay, so thank you very much.